Interstate 75 runs through central Florida, a route for millions of tourists each year. Eileen Wuornos, who is better known as Lee, was just a drifter of 16 when she first came down to Daytona Beach. The I-75 was a highway Lee Wuornos knew well. She worked it as a prostitute, hitching rides from exit to exit. She claimed to have had thousands of men over the years. Then between 1989 and 1990, she murdered 7 men. The FBI labeled Lee Wuornos America's first female serial killer, and since then the book and movie deals poured in. Lee Wuornos' girlfriend, Tyria Moore, once a prime suspect herself, was not charged. Before their arrest, police were hunting for 2 women, popularly referred to as the Angels of Death.
Serial killings seem to have become a brutal fact of life. Tragically, they happen so often, they sometimes take on a horrible familiarity. But there's one string of murders unlike any you've ever heard about. First there was Ted Bundy, then the Gainesville murders. And now Central Florida is being threatened with news of yet another round of serial killings. 8 men have been shot to death in cold blood on Central Florida highways, including the busy tourist route of I-75. But this time, there's an even more chilling twist to the slayings. Police say for the first time in criminal history, these killers may be murdering with a feminine touch. The main suspects are 2 young women who played damsels in distress along the roadway.
On January the 9th, 1991, Lee Wuornos was arrested at the Last Resort Biker Bar in Daytona Beach. This is the original police video of Lee Wuornos confessing to the murder of 7 men. Tyria Moore, her girlfriend, was not charged.
That was a self-defense, because most of them either were going to start to beat me up or were going to screw me down. You know, I can tell you when you don't ask you and they get rough with me. So I fight them and I get away from them. And then as I get away from them, I run to the front of the car or jump over the seat or whatever, grab my gun and just start shooting. Which they would be out of the car, most of them would be nude, because they just close up. And they didn't think about running back in the car or anything. I would start shooting out from out of the car.
Steve Glazer, Lee's lawyer. We're driving with Steve to meet Arlene Praley, who adopted Lee Wuornos last year. Arlene, a born-again Christian, lives on his 35-acre horse farm, where she breeds Tennessee Walker horses.
Wolves. Oh, she breeds wolves too? Yeah.
My main problem so far is that Steve and Arlene have told me that Lee wants $25,000 for the interview. I'd always thought that the Son of Sam law prevented people from profiting from their crimes, but apparently the Son of Sam isn't in effect anymore. Last year, Arlene employed Steve to handle her adoption of Lee Wuornos.
Nick Broomfield? Very pleased to meet with you.
I missed you.
Arlene Praley?
How do you do?
Do you know she has our name? Her legal name is Eileen Carol Wuornos Praley.
Oh, really? Because you adopted her,
And changed her name. Yeah.
There must be a real bond between... How were you aware that there was such a strong bond between you? What made you first feel that?
It's a neat story, but I can't tell you. But the one thing I can tell you is our in-laws have since...
Arlene was refusing to talk until her daughter Lee got paid the $25,000.
My husband and myself, yes.
We traveled to Daytona Beach, where Lee Wuornos had last lived. Police divers recovered the .22 caliber pistol that Lee Wuornos had used in all 7 murders from this lagoon in Daytona Beach. Lee lived here with Tyria Moore, her lover for over 5 years, a woman she referred to as her wife and whom she was desperately in love with. They lived together at this motel, the Fairview, and it was here that Lee Warnos and Tyria Moore first saw the police composites themselves. Witnesses claimed to have seen them driving one of the murder victims' cars. Tyria Moore fled to her family's home in Ohio, leaving Lee and eventually betraying Lee and testifying against her in court. Lee Warnos was charged with all 7 murders. Tyria Moore became the main police witness against her. This is Lee Warnos as she was first being charged. A prostitute from the age of 14, Lee had a long history of neglect and sexual abuse. Lee was born in 1956 in Troy, Michigan. 3 months later, she was abandoned by her mother. In 1963, her father committed suicide in prison. He was serving a sentence for sodomizing a 7-year-old child. Tyria Moore represented the most stable relationship in her life.
Do you understand the nature of the charge?
Yes, I do, sir.
Do you wish to be represented by counsel?
Yes, I do.
Can you afford to hire an attorney?
No, sir.
Do you work?
No.
I'm
I'm in jail. How can I work?
Well, obviously you're not working now, but how long has it been since you've last worked?
Oh, about 84, possibly.
You hadn't worked in 6 or 7 years? How do you support yourself?
I was a professional call girl.
Do you own any property here in the state of Florida? You own a motor vehicle of any kind?
Pardon?
You own a motor vehicle of any kind?
No, sir.
If you'll sign an affidavit, I will appoint the public defender to represent you. And Miss Warner, you've been ordered in this warrant to be held without bail. That will be my order.
Arlene adopted Lee just before her first trial for the murder of Richard Mallory. At this stage, her lawyer was Trish Jenkins, a public defender who has been criticized for failing to bring to the court's attention the fact that Mallory had previously served a 10-year sentence for attempted rape. Many think it was Mallory's alleged rape of Lee that started her off on her killings.
He put the cord around my neck, and he said, "Yes, you are, bitch." He said, "You're gonna do everything I tell you to do, and if you don't, I'll kill you right now, and I'll fuck you after, just like the other sluts I've done." And then he said, "It doesn't matter to me. Your body will still be warm for my huge cock." And he said, he was choking me and I was holding it like this. And he said, "Do you want to die, slut?" And I just nodded no. And then he said, "Are you gonna listen to everything I've got to say? Have you do?" And I just nodded yes. And he told me to lay down on the car seat.
Okay, what happened next?
Then he began to start having anal sex. Okay. And he's doing this very violent manner, movement. And then I don't know, it became climaxed. I talk street talk, so I don't know if he did that. And he violently took himself out and violently put himself in my vagina.
Were you saying anything to him at that point?
No, I was crying my brains out.
Okay, then what happened?
All right, so he takes the Visine, up my legs, and he puts what turns out to be rubbing alcohol in the Visine bottle, and he sticks some up my rectum area. And that really hurt really bad because he tore me up for a while. And then he put some in my vagina, which really hurt bad. And then he walked around back to driver's seat side and he pulled my nose open like this. Pulled them open and he squirted rubbing alcohol down my nose. And he said, I'm saving your eyes for the grand finale. And he put the Visine back on the dash. And I was really pissed. And I didn't care. I was yelling at him and everything else. He was laughing away, saying, that's what I want to hear. I love it when you start crying and all that pain. I thought to myself, I gotta fight, I'm gonna die. This guy is gonna play with me, and then he's gonna kill me. He's already said he's gonna kill me. He's already said he killed other girls. I gotta fight. I jumped up real fast, and I spit in his face. And he said, you're a dead bitch, you're dead. And he's wiping his eyes. And I laid down real quick, and I grabbed my bag. And he was starting to come for me when I grabbed my bag and whipped my pistol out toward him. And he was coming toward me with his right arm, I believe. And I shot immediately, and I think I shot twice, as fast as I could.
Lee had expected to be acquitted, but then Judge Blunt took the unusual move of allowing evidence of the other 6 murders to be presented.
Until by warrant of the governor of the state of Florida, you, Eileen Carroll Warnes, be electrocuted until you are dead. And may God have mercy upon your course.
Scumbags of America.
Most of us will probably never worry about spending time in jail, but if you are ever involved in the criminal justice system, you will need a lawyer who can explain the system to you.
In a completely unexpected legal move, Lee, with Arlene's help, decided to hire Steve to defend her on the next 3 murder charges and to fire her public defender, Trish Jenkins. Steve attracted enormous media attention when he entered a guilty or no contest plea to the next 3 murders. The born-again Arlene Prawley believed Lee should come clean and confess her
As
sins.
Aileen Warnos was led from Marion County Jail, she gave no indication that she would plead no contest to 3 murder charges, instead talking about dropping her public defenders and hiring private attorney Steve Glazer. But only seconds after being named her attorney, Glazer surprised everyone and told the court that Warnos wanted to change her plea. With her adoptive mother watching on, the nation's first known serial killer pleaded no contest to killing Dick Humphreys and Troy Burris in Marion County, David Spears in Citrus County. Legally, the no contest plea is viewed as a guilty plea, and because there is no plea agreement, Warnos still faces the death penalty in each case, an unusual legal prospect that Judge Thomas Swaya was obviously aware of as he carefully questioned Warnos about her decision.
God has forgiven her for what she's done, and our state has the death penalty, so why not go for it? I mean, wow, she could be home with Jesus in a matter of a few years.
The theory and philosophy of Jesus Christ, if you are going to believe that you're saved by Jesus Christ, the first thing you have to do is confess. Confess your sins, and that's between her and God, and that's what she's doing here.
She'd be much better off in heaven. I mean, if I had the choice, I'd rather be up there, but God has not chosen for me to go. But, I mean, Lee has an open door here.
I have made peace with my Lord, and I have asked forgiveness. I am sorry that my acts of self-defense ended up in court like this, but I take full responsibility for my actions. It was them or me. I am sorry for all the pain that my actions have caused. I am prepared to die if you say it is necessary. But I am not afraid.
By pleading guilty, it appeared that Lee Warnos was in reality hoping for mercy and forgiveness, but that is not what happened.
I sentence you in case number 91-463 to death for the murder of Troy Burris. Case number 91-304. I sentence you to death for the murder of Charles Humphreys. Case number 91-112, Citrus County case number. I sentence you to death for the murder of David Spears.
Thank you. And probably see, I'll be up in heaven while y'all are rotting in hell.
He will handle that.
Okay, there will be an automatic appeal. You have the right to an appeal. Mr. Glazer, is that going to be handled by you or the
Your
public
wife and
defender?
kids get raped.
I would ask that you would appoint the public defender's office.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender's office to handle the appeal. There's one other thing that I want to say that I think needs to be said.
I know I was raped. You aren't nothing but a bunch of stump.
Therefore, these proceedings are now
Putting
concluded.
somebody who was raped to death?
Court will be adjourned.
Motherfucker!
Lee is living in a 6x8 cell on death row. We had arranged through the superintendent to meet her at the prison chapel.
I'm Lieutenant Dodrell, and we were just trying to get inmate Warnos. We told her that you were here, and she's refusing a visit.
She's refusing a visit.
I just told her that. I just told the officer in confinement to get it in writing.
She wouldn't talk to us. She wouldn't see us.
Why?
No idea. She just wouldn't. She just didn't want to talk. Didn't want to say anything. Didn't want to communicate. So we didn't get anywhere.
That's a shock. That's a total shock. It's because I was honest with her and sort of disciplinarian that perhaps she was trying to punish both Steve and I. You know, we lost the trial, and yet she said, I want to die.
How were you disciplinarian? I mean, what?
I wrote letters, and I told her that she acted terrible in the courtroom, and that, you know, she better improve her behavior, and I was very disappointed in her.
Is that when she gave the judge the bird? Or?
Yes, yes. And I wrote a very strong letter. I also told her I was sick of her doubting me and doubting Steve, that he was a very honest human being. He did just what she wanted, and because we lost, that was not his fault. So I feel, in a sense, that perhaps with the money, she knows the devastation financially that we are in, and she could help now. And this is her way of punishing me and punishing Steve by saying, well, good, we could get this money. If I gave an interview, I'm not doing it.
Why do you think she was so mad at both of you at the end of the last trial?
Because we lost, because she has 3 death sentences. She said she wanted to die, but in her heart, she wants to live. So you know how you say, I'm hungry, feed me, but you really don't want to eat? That's basically it. I want to die, but when she got the 3 death sentences, she was furious. That's why she gave him the bird.
If it comes, it comes, and when it comes, it comes.
Steve, though, was still insisting Lee wanted to die. His whole justification for entering a guilty plea for Lee was that she wanted to go to the chair. And you're sure she wants to go to the electric chair?
Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure that in her anger and grief and torment, and the fact that it's very, very hard to live with the fact that she killed 7 men, 7 people, that she does want to die for it.
As he's going down the hallway, he's escorted by the assistant superintendent and the correctional officer chief, and is brought in here to the actual chamber. At this point, he is seated in the chair in front of the news media witnesses and the official witnesses who are already seated in the witness area. He's brought in and put into the chair, and the straps are placed around his chest and around his lap and on his arms. And then his legs are placed into these straps and secured there. After the inmate is secured in the chair, the superintendent will check the straps and ensure that they're all in place like they should be. He will then come over to the microphone that we have here in the chamber and remove the microphone and hold it up for the inmate to make a last statement to. He'll ask the inmate, do you have a last statement? And he will either sometimes say something or sometimes won't. After that is completed, the superintendent will go over to the telephone and check with the governor's office to see if there's any last-minute stays. If he hears no last-minute stays from the governor's office, the electrode then is placed on top of the inmate's head. It's an actual cap with an electrode inside. It's secured onto his head. One of these electrodes here is then fastened onto the top of the headpiece. Another device is placed around his calf, and the other electrode is placed onto that piece. After that is completed, the superintendent will make a motion to the executioner, who is here inside the execution chamber where the executioner is. And he will nod to the executioner to go ahead and proceed with the execution. The executioner will throw a switch. The switch will start an automatic cycle, starting out at 2400 volts at about 8 amps. At this point, after they have seen that it has been carried out, they observe some tendencies of the inmate when the voltage hits him to tense up. It's almost simulating as if someone was lifting weights. And that's the only motion that you see out of the inmate, is just a tensing of the muscles. After that cycle is completed, there's 2 physicians who are sitting here in the chamber who come over and examine the body to see that if the inmate is in fact dead.
Because I'm tired of this re-election jazz. They're just trying to get promotional ladder climbing and political prestige from this. And I'm sick and tired of this. I'll probably get 3 more death row sentences. And then I got to go to Pasco and Dixon for 2 more death row. How many times you got to kill me? You know, I mean, this is bullshit. They don't need to be doing this.
Several of the victims' families have said they want to be present at the execution. Steve is even talking about selling the film rights off to the highest bidder to publicize the horrors of the chair.
The people that did this just cannot imagine the grief, the hurt, the anguish that they have caused this family. This is a man that I had for 50.
To the public and to all the people of the world, and to the news personnel that have been working on these trials and these cases for the past 16 months, that had stated defamations and mendacious lies of 98.6% magazines and news articles, to probably paid off by the cops, to vile my character, make me look like a monster and deranged or something like a Jeff Dahmer, which I'm not. I intend to expose the crooked cops to the people all over the world. Not just America, not just Florida, all over the world before I die. And I also feel that the movie Overkill, that is a total fictional lie, that they framed me as a first-time female serial killer for the title for that movie. For first female serial killer is not what I am, and I'm not even near it, and my confessions prove it, yet they have taken the confessions and gone 200% against what my confessions stated to get their bogus movie out. And it stated self-defense totally, which they hid from the jury at the Mallory trial, and they have hid from the public eye.
Lee has finally agreed to see us, and Steve is coming too to make sure we get in. Hi, how you doing?
Sorry about the delay, but when I just got from trial, there was no way. I mean, right after trial, I mean, after the hearing and everything, you know.
After the hearing in the court?
Yeah, where I was at Pasco. Yeah. So,
It's been a struggle to actually see you.
I know, yeah. Did you have any problems with Arlene?
With Arlene?
Yeah.
It's been a little tough going.
Yeah.
With Arlene. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you know that we had?
Yeah, she told me about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Arlene did not adopt me to be my mother. She adopted me to bury me, and she adopted me just to visit, and have easier access to visitation. And she's doing a lot of, Steve is doing a lot of in the media, and so is Arlene. And they're both really pissing me off because I think their motive was just to make money. Okay, and I just can't go any further than that. But, I'll do it later, just before I go or something.
Well, how much did they have to do with you changing your defense as well?
Hmm?
To do with you changing your...
They did it. They convinced me. Mm-hmm. They convinced
For you to not contest your...
I'll give you an example, and this is what's really pissing me off, is when they wanted me to plead no contest, Steve did, and Arlene started it, I think, and Steve just kind of fell in. But Arlene kept, why don't you plead guilty, you know, don't go through all these trials. I can't take it anymore, all these trials.
She couldn't take it.
Yeah. And you know, your mother, you're killing your new adopted mom now with these trials and stuff. And if you don't go to the trials, the cops won't have anything for the movie. And I found out that it didn't matter because the day that I pleaded no contest to Marion, there was a big write-up in the front page about the cops doing their movie anyway. So it didn't make a difference. Too late, I already said it.
So why do you think, I mean, I know
because they convinced me that the cops would not be able to do their movie, have any access to this movie because they needed the trials to go through.
But why do you think Arlene and Steve would want you to plead guilty?
Arlene and Steve have both suggested how I could kill myself. That's not very motherly, is it?
Well, kill yourself while you're in this institution?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, they both suggested it. It's not very motherly nor very lawyerly, is it? And even giving me some ideas. So that's pretty sick. I know they're not on my side. But it's too late. Now all I need to do is slide through the rest of these stupid trials, Pascal Dixie, find me a real good detective and a real good investigative reporter to go out and figure out what's going on find out that I'm telling the truth and they're lying, and find the evidence. And once you've got evidence, I can get a new trial, and I need to go to a new trial through the Supreme Court. So what are you guys going to do? Are you going to try to investigate some of this?
Yeah, we will.
If you guys can look for the Republican Pictures contract.
I just got 487 to figure out landlord can just get on.
You've got it right there. If you can find it, that will set me a new trial for a Supreme Court.
The Republic Pictures?
Yeah, Republican Pictures. That's where they're working at. Overkill movie. If you can find the contract, they're dead meat.
Well, you're saying that they said that this section is being covered by this voiceover because of potential legal problems that might otherwise arise, as with the bleep section that is to follow.
Made up in their mind. She's a serial killer. We're going to, even if she's innocent, we don't care. We're going to make the public believe she's a serial killer. But anyway, that's what said. That two things you're going to have to do. You're going to have to get the public to believe that she's a serial killer, and you're going to have to get her convicted in order to get this movie to go.
We're going to be in Ocala over the next couple of days, and we'll try and ask the police their involvement in it.
Good.
And then we'll come back and see you again on Tuesday.
Great, because see,
we tried to contact the police officers Lee mentioned, but they declined comment. The state attorney's report concluded there had been no exchange of contracts or money between the police and Republic Pictures.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Take care of yourself. I hope to see you soon.
When we returned for our Tuesday meeting with Lee Warnos, the prison informed us we were no longer welcome. They cited our previous security violation.
Maybe I'll look better next time. I'm getting my commissary today some mascara and a brush.
Several months after we left, the Hollywood movie discussions reportedly caught up with the police. There's speculation that if it is found the officers did receive money, all Lee Warnos' death sentences could be overturned.